Hello and welcome to The Book Was Better. We're watching today's movies one book at a time. It's Christmas!
Singing of a street corner choir. It's going home and getting warm by the fire. It's true wherever you find love. It feels like Christmas. It's true wherever you find love. It feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas.
And for this year's gift, we're looking at an old request. It's a Christmas movie called The Seeker. Wait, I watched this with you. This is not a Christmas movie. Yeah, it totally is. No, it isn't. It just has Christmas in it. It's about as Christmassy as Die Hard. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. No, you're just saying that because you like dumb jokes. Die Hard and The Seeker are about family coming together during the holidays. Just look at the comment section. The fans know what's going on. First impressions are very important when experiencing something new, but they can be very misleading. When someone suggested that I check out The Seeker, The Dark is Rising, I went to the trailer first.
I'm supposed to save the world? I can't even figure out how to talk to a girl.
You have powers, Will. You can command fire.
Like! Awesome.
Move objects. Summon great strength.
Can I fly?
What?
If a trailer ever contains the words,
everything about Will Stanton's life seemed pretty ordinary.
Or,
but he's about to find out.
Then I'm probably gonna hate the movie. But here's the weird thing. The movie's actually a lot better than what the trailer let on. Okay, it's not a great movie, but I was expecting a mountain of cringe, and what I got was just a below-average kids' adventure movie.
It's so... not like... Consulting is... You know?
Now compare that to my first impression of the book. On the back of my copy, there's actually a review that compares the author, Susan Cooper, to respected fantasy masters Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. This made me go into the book with high expectations, but by the halfway point, I had no idea how the book had earned such high praise. It turned out that the review did not come from a news source or a professional film critic, but Psychology Today, a bi-monthly magazine that, I've been informed, will make a big deal out of some random study, only to retract much of their own story in the next issue. The Dark is Rising was actually published in 1973 as part of a 5-part series called The Dark is Rising Sequence. It's actually the second part of the series, with the first part telling of 3 siblings searching for the Holy Grail. I guess Hollywood decided to skip that one because Grail quests never make great stories. The book tells the story of Will Stanton, an 11-year-old who wakes up one day to discover he's the last in an order of immortals called the Old Ones. He's destined to recover the 6 missing signs and use them to repel the dark and preserve the light. It's as obvious a good versus evil trope as you can get. The movie came out in 2007 to disastrous results. Critics claimed that the magic of the book was lost, and it earned very poor ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. The film also features Christopher Eccleston, perhaps best known for his role as Malekith in Thor: The Dark World.
It's a blasphemy!
Alright, he also played the 9th Doctor. And if you ask me, he was pretty good at it.
I'm the Doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
Good old Christopher Eccleston, just making things mischievous and fun. He's not as great a doctor as Tennant, but then again, who is?
You want weapons? We're in a library. Books! Best weapons in the world. This room's the greatest arsenal we could have.
But which of these told the better story? Well, let's search for the signs ourselves as we look at The Seeker, The Dark is Rising. We begin our story with every kid's favorite time of the school year, the part where they leave for break. We see our main character, Will Stanton, played by Alexander Ludwig, hanging out with his siblings as they ride the bus home.
Hey, Will, any thoughts on your first semester as an American overseas?
Guys, stop.
Just answer the question in English, please. In an English school.
Oh, right, I forgot to mention that this story takes place in Britain. And yet for some reason, the main character and his family are all American. Why? Could the casting agent not find any English kids at all, or did the director think that audiences would be turned off by British accents? Because hello! The bus drops the kids off a few blocks from home, and while they walk, they get approached by an older man in a car.
Good afternoon, Stantons. Miss Graythorne wishes to extend an invitation to the whole family to attend a small Christmas Eve party at the manor. Mince pies and mulled wine. Can we count on you? Yeah.
So the reason this isn't incredibly creepy is because this all takes place in a small village.
Where everybody knows your name.
Miss Graythorne and her butler Merriman are just the rich folks who throw a party for the whole town, like what the Northwest family was supposed to be from Gravity Falls.
Tonight we will enjoy only the finest of tastes and only the snootiest of laughter. That's the ticket.
Wow, my brain is all over the place today. It's Christmas in the Stanton household and the whole family is coming together. Even Will's older brother Max has come back from college.
Don't kill him, he just got home. Guys, come on.
And the first thing he does is kick Will out of his room just because it's easier than sleeping in the attic.
Will, I got your room.
Just like a real older brother. Will is a little sad though, because his birthday is also coming up, and it often gets overshadowed by Christmas. It doesn't help that he gets lame presents like a card with the wrong age or a single sock.
Second one comes on Christmas. There's 2 of them. Oh, yeah, happy birthday, man.
The only good things he gets are from his sister and his oldest brother, who mailed him a leather belt with lots of spirals on it. A plot belt, if you will. It's looking like it's going to be another underwhelming holiday, but then strange things happen, starting when 2 men stop by to deliver the Christmas tree.
So, this is Will Stanton, eh? Pleasure to meet you.
And you, sir.
Hey, George, look here. It's Will.
So it be. And with a birthday today as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Hide in your room and borrow your dad's shotgun, kid. This ain't safe. The weird things continue later at the mall when Will decides to do some last-minute shopping.
Can I help you? Hello? Are you going to buy that?
Sorry, it's for my sister.
Can I help you?
It's for my girl.
He buys a necklace for his sister Gwen, pausing to notice the nice spiral pattern, when some security guards grab him.
Excuse me, sir. I wonder if you wouldn't mind coming back with us.
Only we think you may have left the store without paying for a night.
Hey, wait a minute. That's not what they used in the trailer.
Excuse me, sir. Do you mind coming with us?
Who made this trailer? Who gave them the footage? Is exchanging everyone's accents supposed to make things better or more palatable for an American audience? Why this forced separation? Britain's a great country. You should go visit if you get a chance. I mean, it's not as great as America, which, as we all know, is the best country this planet has ever seen. So Will is led to an interrogation room, riding behind a pair of shapeshifters on the escalator, when the guards start acting a little odd.
Don't waste our time, Will. Just give us the sign.
You know my name.
Give us the sign, Will.
Just give us the sign.
Just give us the sign.
Just give us the sign.
Sign.
Give us the sign. Give us the sign.
Give us the sign!
Will manages to get away by tossing one of them into a concrete wall. That's a hell of an arm. This kid needs to play football. And yes, I mean real football, not soccer. Anyway, that fancy party at the local mansion starts, and Will sees that girl from his school that he has a crush on.
Out of your league, buddy. Watch him learn.
Aren't you in college? Will gets frustrated with the party and steps out for some fresh air, but a mysterious horsebound stranger is waiting for him, played by Christopher Eccleston.
Exterminate.
Now, here we get some elements from the book that I didn't even notice when I first saw the movie. See that white horse? No, not the writer's horse, but wait for it. There he is. And there he goes, never to be seen again. I guess that he's supposed to be the horse that Will leads to the Hunter, a different mysterious horsebound stranger who fights for the light and chases the darkness away. The movie makes the cunning strategy of referencing this moment and not doing anything with it. In other words, the movie understands these elements from the book and chooses not to use them properly.
They just didn't care.
Will is chased down by the Rider when he gets saved by the 4 current members of the Light, all sworn protectors of all things sunshiny and good.
Leave the boy alone, Ryder. You can't fight us all. You're not strong enough.
The Old Ones of the group, known in the book as the Old Ones, lead Will through time to their ancient temple clubhouse.
Walk with us, Will.
Where?
Through time.
This time-traveling thing is an element that appears multiple times throughout the book and movie, though each handle it differently. The movie uses it as a way to get Will to different periods of history so that he can uncover these mysterious signs that people want from him. The book uses it more just to pause time, acting as a way for the forces of light and dark to fight without creating collateral damage. Kind of like the mirror world from Doctor Strange. Both of these ideas work in their own way, but the movie is much more dynamic in its presentation. Will doesn't just pause time to avoid hurting people, he travels through battles to find the signs. The book uses this power more to avoid damaging things, but doesn't really do anything interesting with the power beyond that.
Who are you?
We're the Old Ones. Well, to tell the truth, we're neither young nor old, being outside time. You're the last of us to be born. You are the Sign Seeker.
Everybody keeps talking about these signs. Sorry. Honestly, I don't know what that is.
Merriman, played by Ian McShane, takes the lead role as Will's mentor, as he does in the book. But again, the movie is actually a little more aware of his role than the book. The book just shows Merriman stiffly pushing Will in the right direction from time to time. Merriman was always strict, always stuffy, didn't really explain a lot of things, and frankly, he didn't have much character. The movie actually gives him a personality. He not only has to train Will, but he has to adapt to empathizing with a teenager, and thanks to his old age, Merriman's forgotten how difficult those years can be.
You are not without your own lessons to learn, Merriman. He came to you, not for more warnings. He needed you simply to listen.
So not only does Will need to learn how to use his powers, but Merriman has to learn some restraint as well, which makes for a richer story overall. And the book's shortcomings don't end there. Show don't tell is one of the fundamental rules of writing because it allows the reader to learn what the protagonist does in a more meaningful and fulfilling way, and it fills out the universe a bit more. The movie shows Will struggling as he tries to adapt to his new role as an immortal old one. The book does not show this. And actually, it doesn't even tell us this. What the book does instead is such a significant shortcoming that this is where I really started to dislike it. Will is taken through time and is shown what's called the Book of Grammar-Ye. Grammar-Ye.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Grammar-Ye, whatever.
Get on with it!
It's the oldest book in the world and it contains all the spells and history Will needs to learn. He manages to do this in one sitting, memorizing everything without struggle or really much effort. Once he's done, the book is destroyed and Will understands everything. And so this kid spends the rest of the book talking like he's 50.
But what if the weatherman's wrong?
He is. The storm will peak in 2 days. That's all we have. Doesn't get better by then. Never will.
Like so many other things, Will just gets his solutions handed to him. How am I supposed to support a character who's given the easy button for every problem he faces? The Old Ones are eager to accept Will into their order, but he's reluctant to join them.
You are special, Will. The seventh son of a seventh son.
You got it wrong. 6, actually. I only have 5 brothers.
Will tries to convince himself that this is all fake and that they have the wrong kid, but he still can't help checking it out. And he makes the amateur mistake of looking at magic from a practical perspective. Isn't that exactly what you did when GC first told you about your powers? Shut up! Shut up! So, Will goes to the one person who might be able to solve the problem. His dad, the physics teacher.
It's like some sort of equation about light and darkness. Almost like they're fighting for the same space. What I need to know is, can dark win?
That's not how the Force works.
There are no winners and losers in
the Force.
Well,
But, according to this dad, maybe darkness isn't just dark, but like a thing. So I mean, could darkness, could it hurt someone?
you serious?
In a scene that's almost a complete non sequitur, Will hurts his ankle and they have to call the village doctor to make a house call.
Mom, I do not want to go to the hospital.
Hello, doctor.
Good afternoon.
Come in.
And I hope you don't have to. Hello, Will.
This is, of course, a trick to threaten Will and get his hands on some of those mysterious signs.
I wonder, Mrs. Stanton, do you have a tape measure so I can check the swelling?
Yes, I'll go look.
No, thank you.
Mom, stay here.
Sweetheart,
I think somebody doesn't want to be separated from his mummy.
Come on now, you'll be fine. I'll be right back.
Eccleston's hardly living up to his potential here, probably because he's in a kid's movie. He has a lightly threatening persona that lets you know he's up to no good, but only in this scene. Outside of this, he's dull and doesn't really have any stage presence. With the writer's visit fresh in his mind, Will continues searching around the attic for answers when he comes across an old baby photo.
It's your brother, Tom. You two were born just minutes apart.
Was Tom born before me?
Yeah, he was. Another big brother.
So, in a sudden twist, it turns out that Will really is a seventh son, but not the same way as it was in the book. In the movie, Will had an older twin brother, but in the book, Tom was the oldest brother out of the whole litter. He also died shortly after being born, possibly to be brought in later in the series. Now, the movie brings Tom in later, spoilers, for a really artificial happy ending, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Will decides to join the old ones and finally gets a chance to read the Book of Gramarye.
6 signs were created to contain the power of the light. From stone, bronze, iron, wood, and water.
But the 6th was to be carried in the essence of a... The essence of a human soul?
No. This is a pretty big slip-up on the movie's part just to include some semi-sacrificial scare during the climax, which I'll get to later. See, the 6 signs were made by an ancient blacksmith, and there were 3 sets of opposites: stone and wood, iron and bronze, and fire and water. They were an attempt at duality and balance, though they were really simplistic. Although I don't really understand the depth of the signs because the book doesn't really explain what they do. Will just collected them and became arbitrarily stronger. If that wasn't enough, the signs weren't even the only powerful items in the series. Throughout the entire series, heroes also collect a grail, a crystal sword, and a harp. And this collection of items is known as the Things of Power. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, what exactly do the signs do to make someone stronger? They're not even hinted at. Chaos Emeralds make Sonic turn into Supersonic, Dragon Balls can grant almost any wish, and Infinity Stones govern certain aspects of reality. But the signs? I would say they amplify Will's power, but that can't be right because what's the hunter supposed to do with them in the book? They're little more than arbitrary MacGuffins with no intriguing backstory that I've gotten to at least. So remember that necklace that Will bought from the mall for £5?
Gwen, I'm sorry.
It turns out the spiral pattern shows off where signs are, and Will has started by discovering the Sign of Stone. Will begins his journey to recover all the signs.
This is Mrs. Stanton. She lives in the village.
Hello.
And this is the young boy I was telling you about.
You know, I heard Kevin Spacey read for this film. The second sign comes in a church, somewhere in the 13th century. Will rushes to find the sign inside a crypt, while the old ones fight to buy him time against the forces of darkness. And oh boy, did I have a problem with this in the book. In the movie, Will has to struggle and crawl through arduous trials to earn each sign. In the book, they just get handed to him. Only 3 of the signs in the book have any kind of conflict really attached to them, and 1 was just a villain walking by and not really engaging against him. This destined immortal kid's grand journey to save the universe from the forces of darkness comes down to, can I have that? Sure. Also, this skeleton saved his life from a snake. I'm not sure how or why, but the movie barely acknowledges this. Since Will has 2 of the signs, the writer brings in someone to help him.
My power increases by the day, and in 3, I reach my peak. But the Seeker has 2 signs now, and with each, his strength also grows.
You know, it's really hard to take you seriously when your horse is doing the pee-pee dance. The cloaked figure walks away, but then we get a scene with a girl that Will likes named Maggie.
Are you an old one? Do I look like an old one?
No. I just... older.
I'm just here to look out for you. Okay?
Like a babysitter? You look like you're at least 5 years older than him.
Hey, where you been?
Waiting for you. And hanging with your little brother. So sweet.
Let's go. Sweet.
Will goes to the manor to vent, but Merriman just shrugs his concerns off as petty.
You are the Seeker, Will. The future of the human race rests on you. Don't you understand this?
Look, I'm supposed to save the world? Okay, I can't even figure out how to talk to a girl.
Don't let a girl distract you. You've got work to do.
And I bring this up because while none of the old ones really had personalities in the book, Merriman was expanded into this business before pleasure kind of guy who forgot what hormones are. This is also how changing Will's age wasn't just a matter of convenience. In the book, he was 11, but since he's 14 in the movie, they can use the puberty angle much more easily. This could have just been changing his age for the sake of casting, like what they did in Percy Jackson or Aragon, but they actually did something with it instead. It's a small touch that shows that the screenwriters were paying attention. Sometimes. Sort of. A little. In his anger, Will expressed himself by blowing up a windmill.
Will? Gwen, what are you doing here?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Really? A windmill is now ashes and there was a car in that explosion. You were close enough that you should feel the fires. You should be more worried about getting the hell out of the blast radius. But instead, this triggers another time jump, and Will accidentally warps Gwen with him. After Will trades his watch to a Viking, and after Gwen rescues a kitten, Will gets the third sign.
And there was much rejoicing.
The writer is getting stronger by the day, though, and he summons an incredible storm, complete with raging winds and not that much snow, actually. Will is out searching for food. Boy, this kid really is the Seeker. He's out looking for something new every 10 minutes. Unfortunately, his brother Max is acting a little odd.
I'm sick and tired of your attitude. Little remarks, things you're saying behind my back when you try to turn everybody against me. You think I don't see that?
Did you just change your accent?
You got issues, Will. You want to sort them out?
Max gets possessed by the darkness, using his negative emotions against him, but Will knows just how to help him out.
I hate to do this to my own brother.
After that, Will plucks a feather from a stuffed chicken and recovers the fourth sign. It is remarkably convenient that all these mystical elements of incredible power are all within walking distance of each other. Meanwhile, the storm is only getting worse and supplies in the Stanton household are getting low. Fortunately, Miss Graythorn has opened the manor to the entire village, so that's where they go. Unfortunately, that puts the old ones in the same place for the writer to find.
Now let water finish what ice has begun.
He tries to flood the manor, and the first thing he goes after is the books, ruining all of them? That bastard! I'll kill him! I'll kill him! And this is when we discover that Maggie was really working for the writer the whole time. It's just a shame that she's an idiot.
You need to give me the signs before it's too late. You need to trust me. Do you trust me?
Yeah, I trust you.
So, are you gonna grab those anytime soon while his guard's down? Maggie hesitates too long, and Will finds the fifth sign in an overhead window. He then destroys the entire canopy with one throw of a candlestick.
You have failed me for the last time.
With the fifth sign in his possession, Maggie dries up and dies. She was about as inconsequential in the book, where she showed up for one scene, then left after, doing effectively nothing. With all but one of the signs, the old ones teleport to their temple.
The rider's reached full strength, but he can't enter here unless we let him.
So the bad guy has no way to touch the good guys, no way to squash the light, so the movie can end, right?
Will, let us in!
Wrong, because Will is too dumb to live. It's always tough when you write yourself into a corner, but if your solution is to make your character a drooling moron, you need to retire immediately. Why did none of you stop that? He weighs less than half what you do. The writer bamfs in and toys with Will, giving him an offer he can't refuse. Remember Will's missing brother Tom? Well, he's an ornament inside a snow globe now.
say goodbye to little Tom.
Wait, Will showed telekinetic powers in a previous scene. Why doesn't he just grab the snow globe with that? So, Will has doomed his allies as the writer takes them out one by one. It even looks like Will himself is doomed when he gets pulled into this black hole thingy. And yet, because of this scene, I still have to give more points to the movie than the book. In the book, the climax resulted in Will giving the signs to someone else, and that guy finished the fight. The movie pulls some bullcrap part of the cards thing out of its ass when Will discovers that the final sign is his soul, or something, but at least he was the one who finished the fight. But that doesn't mean the fight is worth writing home about. It flashes around in this seizure-happy, dark versus light thing that's more headache-inducing than dramatic. So, Will ends the fight by somehow switching the writer in Tom's place inside the snow globe. Tom gets rescued, the older ones say goodbye, and everyone in the village starts getting sick because the town doctor is trapped inside a glass bubble. Oh, and one thing I forgot was that one of the old ones seemed to have been killed by the writer in a previous scene, but comes back after the battle because happy ending. Kind of pointless killing him off if he's just gonna pop in again from nowhere. Fred? You're alive! I thought you died last episode.
もちろん私はないです。私のフレッド・ホルスマンのお手伝いできるしかないです。私の映画が大限り二度通しなければなりません。すべての教えられている世界中のすべての地面、小に愛の条例でな軍隊を割ととしてでじまじ体が私の頬を乗せてぷします。ホルスマンは最高になります。他のすべてが我々のよしよいと。Thank you.
Okay, but then, why did you collapse?
ハロウィンの改造最初、私は介護してました。
Truly a role model for all. Like I said before, the movie isn't as bad as the trailer made it look, but it still isn't great. Some of the characters are okay, but the story is average, the action is subpar, and I can't recall any of the music. The movie tries to pull off an action story about a kid growing up, which can work, but it brings so little to the table that it's hard to get invested. Elements of the universe are introduced, but they're not explained. Why can only the Seeker read the Book of Gramarye? Why are the signs scattered the way that they are? How did Tom survive all that time as the writer's captive, and why wasn't he corrupted or something? It would have been cliché, but it would have been something. The movie's underwhelming, but it could be worse. It gets a 2 out of 5. I was prepared for a classic story when I got into this book, but what I got was a pale imitation. The book wants so desperately to be some modern epic, drawing upon Arthurian legends and Celtic myth to tell a story. The problem with Cooper is that she can't integrate myth into her story at all. And it's not that hard to do well. Rick Riordan has made multiple series doing exactly that. Outside of the myth angle, the story is still very poor in its execution. The main character affects very little in the story, doesn't really undergo much conflict, and has solutions straight up handed to him. The world building is also paper thin, with ideas presented, but hardly explored. It's as if readers are expected to recognize the references Cooper makes, then find all our enjoyment from that. As such, this is barely a story at all. The book gets a 1 out of 5. Yes, I know, a movie this drab is still better than the book. The movie does draw upon several elements from the book, but adds to them to create a smoother, more complete story. Will does have to struggle, the side characters aren't all one-dimensional, the central conflict is easier to follow, and the movie holds back from several of the more foreign references that I at least haven't heard about. It tells the basic story that the book did of good versus evil, but provides a clearer picture. It's not entirely accurate, but that's probably for the best. As an adaptation, The Seeker gets a 2 out of 5. Somehow this book has a 4 out of 5 rating on Goodreads.com, so I probably just made a lot of people angry. If you want my advice, though, you should stick to the real fantasy masters. Tolkien, Lewis, Rowling, Pratchett, and of course, Riordan.